Welcome back, traders, to Creative Best Stocks. Today I'm going to be talking about advanced micro devices, ticker symbol AMD. I'm going to be updating our technical analysis on AMD because in the last couple of videos, I did a fundamental and technical analysis to show you where you could get into the stock. The thing is, the stock really hasn't moved much since then, and I want to go over some reasons why I think it hasn't moved and why it might still be poised for a big move and where you can get in. If you want the full fundamental and technical analysis of AMD, then check out my last two videos linked above and in the description below. If you got into AMD on the last couple of breakouts from resistance, you might be sitting there asking yourself, why hasn't the stock moved yet? And in general, the only answer that I have for you right now is the stock market will do one of two things. It'll either wear you out or scare you out. And right now, the stock is trying to wear you out. In my last two videos on AMD, we've already established that AMD meets the minimum criteria for N, something new, a new product, new innovation, E, earnings, minimum of 20% or more quarter over quarter, and sales, a minimum of 25% or more quarter over quarter. And that's the quarter now compared to the same quarter last year. Okay, now let's dive right into the technicals. Okay, here it is, traders, the technical analysis for AMD. This is going to be a no-frills technical analysis. I'm only going to be talking about the technicals here. The first thing that I really want to point out to you, though, earnings are reporting in just 8 days. That's always something to keep in mind because earnings can be somewhat of a crapshoot. They can really sink the stock, or they can be a catalyst for the stock to go much, much higher. Before we get started with the daily chart, I want to focus here on the weekly chart and just point out a couple of critical things. Notice that we have a nice prior uptrend before this base that's formed right here. And notice the power in that prior uptrend. 3 weeks straight up in a row and then just sideways movement before it corrected and made this little bit of a cup-shaped base. Okay, and notice the volume that was coming into the stock when it was in that uptrend too. Everything's above average volume on those 3 weeks up, and that consolidation's pretty tight sideways. Those are clues that the big institutions are stepping in and buying shares on volume for this particular stock. Now, what I've done here is switch to the daily chart, and there's a couple other indicators that I want to point out in that prior uptrend that are good indicators that institutions are buying this stock on volume. Notice the gap up here and here in the stock price. Basically what that is when the stock instantly trades at a higher value. There's so much demand for the stock that at the open, the market makers are actually setting the price of the stock higher, significantly higher than the day before. And that's why you have those price gaps. And notice how none of those price gaps got filled in this run up right here. Then what I want to point out to you are the big volume skyscrapers, which are indicators that institutions are buying this stock on volume. This isn't me, you, or your Aunt Sally. These are the big institutions, and we want to ride their coattails. So that's a good indication right here that we've got institutional sponsorship as well as right here. Okay, now let's look at the base that's being formed and what it really means for the stock. I want to point out a couple of things here right away. Notice on this last gap up that the stock found support right there around $73 per share. That's no coincidence. Basically, there's an institution out there that likes the stock at $73 a share, and that's where it's finding support. There's a couple other things that I want to show you that are good indicators of strong demand for the stock. Notice this day right here where the stock closed in the top half of the range after being down a significant amount and on volume. That's a sign of institutional accumulation. Then notice here on the right side of the base, this little cup that's being formed, there's several up days in a row. That's a very quiet accumulation in the stock. The last thing that I want to point out to you here within AMD is this handle that's being formed in the stock. Now, institutions are always interested in shaking out the loose hand, the loose holders, the folks that, sort of got in late to the stock and the institutions want to get their shares. What they do is they sell a little bit into this handle and they shake out any loose holders. But notice how the volume is drying up in the handle. That means that nobody else is really selling this stock. And that's a very slight indication that the stock is still under accumulation and the institutions aren't selling. The other thing that I want to show you is that notice how today the stock is finding support right here at the convergence of the 50-day moving average red line and the 21-day moving average green line. That's called convergence, and that's an important support in the stock. The expectation is that this thing goes higher, and there's a couple of buy points that you could still get into on this stock, keeping in mind that the stock reports in just 8 days. If you happen to buy the stock prior to it reporting, there's a chance that the stock could go down a lot, or there's a chance that the stock could go up massively. The point I'm trying to make here is that you may not want to take that risk. You may want to wait until after earnings to buy this stock, and if it reports well, then you buy it. So where are the buy points? Well, there are a couple of buy points in this stock. The first buy point is a standard buy point in a cup with handle, and that is the left side high of the handle at 88.72. There's also a bit of resistance right here and a more aggressive buy point at 86.09. I want to reiterate this one more time that earnings report in just 8 days. And if you buy before earnings and before the breakout, it's a bit of a crapshoot as to whether or not this stock's going to go up. However, if you do buy before earnings, make sure that you have at least a 10% gain profit cushion in the stock headed into earnings. Otherwise, you might consider selling the stock just before it reports or the day before.
In summary, AMD's stock is consolidating nicely ahead of earnings. There appears to be convergence of the 21-day and the 50-day moving average where the stock is seeing support. Let's see if the stock can break out from here and head higher on heavier volume. Now that we've identified one stock that you could get into, would you like access to more? Then check out my link in the description below where you can get access to my buy and sell alerts and one-on-one coaching. If you enjoyed this video and you'd like to see more, then be sure to subscribe, smash the like button, and ring the bell so you can get alerts to my videos every week. Thanks for joining.